Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Rose and I'm an artist. And in this video, which I'm filming at the beginning of January 2025, I'm going to take a little look back at the last year and how my art progressed in that year. And then I'm going to look forward to 2025 and talk about some of my goals that I have for this upcoming year. One of the first things that I wanted to mention about 2024 was that this is a year when I really was brave and dipped my toe into representational drawing and painting. Up until recently, I have been quite afraid actually of drawing. I had a bit of a bad experience in a life drawing class when I was in my early 20s, where I was constantly told that I was doing everything wrong. And it gave me a bit of sort of drawing trauma, if you want to say it like that. It made me just not draw. I stopped doing art altogether for a really long time. So when I got back into art, at first it was through crafts like crochet and sewing and things like that. And then when I got back into painting, it was all abstract stuff and just about playing with the paint and making textures and colours. And it's been really fun. Maybe it's not completely correct to say that I haven't been doing any drawing. I have. I love going to the zoo and sketching the animals there. I love drawing plants and things, but I would always do it as like a blind contour. So I would take the result of the picture of whatever I was trying to draw and like the actual finished piece out, that was completely out of the equation. It was all about being in the moment, observing and really enjoying just like looking at the shapes and tracing them, but not worrying too much about the finished result. And so then, yeah, I guess eventually that kind of led to me thinking, you know, it would be really nice to actually have a piece where I was really paying attention to how it looked on the page, on the canvas. And so that's what I decided to try this year. So I'll just show you a couple of the sketches that I started out with. So this was my very first attempt, and I took a field guide to birds and I sketched it and then I painted it with acrylic paint. And I actually really enjoyed the process because I was looking carefully at the colours and then trying to mix those exact colours. I don't think this is a particularly great painting of a bird, but for a first attempt I was really pleased, and also just really pleased that I'd kind of got over my fear and just gone for it. So that was where it started. And then I think I had a go in one of these sketchbooks, because these sketchbooks I made myself from like scraps, and so it felt like it was a little bit, you know, lower pressure. And also I liked the idea of painting something representational on a very abstract background. So this was the same bird, same reference picture. Yeah, you can see sort of side by side. This is definitely an improvement on this one. I was like, got the bug basically, and I was like, wow, this is great. I think the next one I did was this owl, and I did the owl and then I did the background. So I was kind of playing with, can I have something representational on something that's a bit more my usual style, which is abstract and patterns, and yeah, I was quite happy with that. And then I did this next one. So I got really into doing birds. And then this is another one that I did in this book. I'm also not as keen on this particular drawing, but trying to maintain my feeling of kind of detachment from how the result looks. Also, I'm trying my best to make it look as good as possible, because it is nice when you do something and you really like the result. This was my first attempt at a figure, a picture of my daughter that I used as a reference. Again, I don't think it's the greatest picture, but I was quite pleased that I was brave, because my trauma came from life drawing, which was of course drawing figures. And then I moved into drawing flowers because I got a flower reference book. I think I also experimented a bit with, I did some in acrylic paint, and then I tried watercolours I think, and then coloured pencils. Here's another flower drawing, which, you know, this is so careful and precise, and that's a different way of working. It's not how I've been used to working up until this point. This has been, you know, quite branching out in a new direction for me. This is another flower. Here's an insect drawing. I did a month-long challenge with my Sketchbook Social group in Amsterdam, where we tried to draw a different insect or a bird every day during October, and I definitely didn't manage all of them. But in this day I did timed challenges, so 30 seconds, 5 minutes, and 30 minutes. Elephant hawk moth, a kingfisher. This was a leopard moth. So yeah, and there's lots of other pictures in here that I've drawn from reference books, which I have been doing them when I go to my Sketchbook Social meetups. I take a little reference book with me, do some drawing. Oh, this was just the other day actually. I saw this live band and I thought they looked great because they had these blue top hats on. And yeah, I was just like brave, and I sat down and sketched them. So that's one thing that happened in 2024, is I branched out into doing more representational work. Another new-ish direction for me was about intuitive collage. So if you've ever done vision boarding, it's a similar thing to that, where you know, in vision boarding, you go through a magazine and you intuitively pull out pictures and words and things that speak to you, and then you sort of like put it all together and see what it tells you. And so I was doing that, but making like little collages in my sketchbook, and I was intentionally trying to kind of channel some sort of message from the divine, or because I love doing like tarot and things and feel like I'm connecting with the wider universe. So this is the first piece, and I had this intention that I wanted to channel a message from the universe, and this is what came through. And it says, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." And then it says, "The place in which I'll fit will not exist until I make it." And so this was like a real little turning point for me, because I feel like this is more than like just a vision board. This is something that's really special. It really spoke to me, actually. I was really pleased with this, and I wanted to try this process again. And so this was the next one that I did. Looking for the symbolism in the pieces that you pick out, and then also how you've positioned them on the page and like the story that it tells. So you have this figure here who's carrying all this stuff, and she's, you know, walking towards this cave, and it's saying, "My dark cave, vital portal." And this is actually a picture of the moon. And so she's like she's walking, carrying this heavy load towards this dark portal. And then when she comes out, it's like she's a butterfly that's transformed into this fabulous figure. Yeah, and all the butterflies around are sort of symbolising this spirit of transformation. Obviously, this is a butterfly cocoon. And this sword here, this hand holding the sword, this sort of reminds me of the Ace of Swords from tarot. And then this is another intuitive collage, which I absolutely love. So it says, "You can actually change your life. Clearing up the things and thoughts that don't serve us is a journey to cherish." And there's this jug here, and the water that's kind of like coming out of it is like moving towards this window, which again is another portal. Yeah, it feels like this is like a cleansing energy that's kind of coming through and washing things away. So the next big thing that happened for me in 2024 was that I was diagnosed with ADHD. And it was quite a big shock, really. Obviously not a huge shock because I'd been going through the process of getting the diagnosis, but it's not that long ago that I actually considered that it could be something that I had, you know. And it took a couple of people who were really close to me saying, you know, "Actually, I think you might have ADHD," before I went and sought out a diagnosis. It's been absolutely life-changing, I have to say. I've been struggling my whole life, not knowing why I find life so hard. You know, I've had depression, I've had anxiety, and yeah, like, why can't I keep my house tidy? Like, why is everything so difficult? Well, it turns out I have ADHD, and I only found this out at the age of 39. So it's been a huge earth-shattering thing for me. So this is the painting that I did, I think maybe the day or like a couple of days after I had the diagnosis. And it represents to me like all these balls. Like, it's great having ADHD in some ways because you're constantly having these great imaginative ideas, like yeah, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And you're like, it's like you're juggling, a million different things all at one time. And they're all really colourful and it's all very exciting, but it's also extremely exhausting and impossible to keep up with everything. So, so the way that this has changed things is that I'm finally on the right medication, which is helping me a lot. And yeah, just like knowing myself better, I think it's helping me be a bit more organised, a bit more focused. So I think it's going to have a huge impact going into 2025 as well. I also started the Sketchbook Social here in Amsterdam, which has been really nice for building community of like-minded people. Like we meet up roughly once a month or something and just hang out together and bring our sketchbooks and, chat and do art together. And I think I'd like to carry that on into 2025, like the idea of building community, hanging out with creative people more, and also making it accessible for everyone who wants to participate. And at the end of 2024, I had an exhibition at a gallery here in Amsterdam, which was really cool. It's a gallery called MINA Gallery, and I had 3 pieces in it in a group show. So that was a dream come true because I've always wanted to have some of my paintings in the gallery show, so that was great. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to my goals for 2025. So I would love to carry on with the representational pieces, and I had this idea which was to do more drawing and painting of things like animals and just everyday items, people, things like that, and then I can scan those pictures and print them out to use in collage. So I'll be kind of over time building up a library of images that I can use in my collages that are actually my own images, because that's the one thing that is slightly worrying sometimes about doing collage is the copyright issues. So if you go through a magazine and pull images out to use in your collage, I think it's fine for personal use, but if you want to sell your work, or if you want to, for example, share your process on YouTube, I'm always a little bit wary about the copyright implications. So I think that having a library of my own images to use in collage will be a really good idea. So that's one thing that I'm going to be working on in 2025. Another thing that I want to do in 2025 is focus on using things that I already have. So the temptation is always there to try a new technique, buy a new material that I haven't tried before, branch out and experiment. Also, this has something to do with the ADHD, like wanting to always try new things and having curiosity and trying something and then abandoning it and trying something else. That's very much an ADHD trait. So now that I'm aware that it's something I'm working with and I have the medication, I think it's going to be hopefully easier for me to focus in a bit more and, stick with things for a longer period of time. And for example, I think something like 30 sketchbooks that I have on the go at the moment, and they're all unfinished. And it's always very tempting to buy a new sketchbook because getting a new sketchbook is really fun. But my goal this year is going to be to focus in, finish up the things that I haven't finished, finish up the projects that I've started with the intention of finishing. Yeah, instead of always starting new things. I'm going to try and use up some of my materials. I'm going to try and work with what I have and try not to buy new things. So that's something I'm going to work on in 2025. I have a goal to make a new collection of work. It's really nice to work in sketchbooks, but I also want to have work available for people to buy and to also go into gallery shows. Yeah, I think it would be nice to have a series or a collection all of a similar theme. Yeah, it's like a body of work, right? So that's going to be something that I'm going to aim for in 2025 as well. I also want to do a bit more journaling. I love journaling, and I do a lot of journaling in my sketchbooks actually. So I'll write and then I'll paint over it so that it's a bit more private. And that's usually just train of thought, today I ate a sandwich and I went for a walk, and it's all the sort of stuff that you just want to get out of your brain. But I want to be a little bit more intentional about how I journal this year, and maybe do it in notebooks where I'm not going to paint over it, so I can actually read back what I've written. Because I have this dream of one day writing a book. So the idea is that I'm going to be journaling enough that I'll build up towards pieces of writing that I might then end up incorporating into a book. And finally, I have a goal of sharing a bit more of my process through YouTube, writing more on my blog and in my email newsletter. I wrote an email newsletter I think it was in November, and I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to write from the heart. And I had some really lovely responses, people just emailing back, and yeah, it was just really nice to know that I'd kind of connected with people. So that's going to be my guiding light for this year, is to connect more, like be more heartfelt in my communications through YouTube and blog posts and things. You know, sometimes it feels like you have to kind of put on a bit of a mask on social media, or when you're communicating, like broadcasting stuff. Yeah, I sort of feel like, oh, I can't be myself. And I feel like actually the people who I connect with most through like YouTube and stuff are people who just really speak from the heart. And I feel like I have, like a real connection with them. So that's what I'm going to be aiming for in my communications this year as well. So if you want to join my email newsletter, then you can go to my website and I'll have the link and everything for that, so you can follow along. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, I was going to show you my vision boards that I did for this year. Hang on. Okay, so this is the vision board that I did for my business, not necessarily just for this year, but for going into the future. So this is the kind of the feeling that I want my art business to have for people. So yeah, it's like lots of rainbows, like children, like this feeling of tapping into your inner child, being free. So the eternal child here is an oracle card from Kim Krantz. And this is like my main image for my whole business, is tapping into that feeling of what lit you up when you were a child. And for a lot of people, that is creativity. That's what it definitely was for me when I was a kid. I loved painting and drawing, and when I had really bad depression, the thing that saved me was tapping back into that healing power of creativity, the thing that I loved when I was a kid. So that's kind of my guiding light for my whole art business, is to try and share that with other people. So a lot of the imagery reflects that. You know, we've got like a little girl here who's painting a rainbow. We've got this little kid who's like painting on himself. Just the freedom that you have when you're a child. And here we've got like an adult, and she's running along, and there's birds like flying, and she's on a beach. So that's the feeling that I really want my art business to have. As well as this kind of like nurturing feeling. It says everything grows with love. Yeah, like a nurturing of this inner child. So this is the kind of the vision board for my art business. And then this is my personal vision board for 2025. It started at the bottom here, actually. It says, make yourself a home together, shelter from the storm. And you can see there's like these couples here, the lions just like snuggling, and the little pigeons having a snuggle. And then there's this tiny baby cat, the kitten, like snuggled up under the blanket. And to me, this is saying like, focus on family and home first. This is, you know, the foundation of everything. Although my business is very important to me, like ultimately the foundation of everything is my home. So that's my focus. And then I have the Buddha here, and that represents my spirituality, my mindfulness practice, my meditation practice, and that is also like a foundational thing for me. It's very important that I have that. It's kind of like the basis of my mental well-being and everything. So also the lily represents transformation and growth, and kind of like finding the good that comes out of like the muck. My family, my home, my spiritual practice, and my kind of quest towards like personal growth and transformation are like the foundation here. And then we have this kind of portal, and it's almost like wings. It's like a path going towards this orb here, and then climbing up this ladder. And it's also a mountain here as well. So this is kind of like this is the path that I'm trying to, this is where I want to make progress, I suppose. And I've put here body of work, and that represents to me my art business, my work. You know, I want to build a body of artwork. I also want to build up a library of YouTube videos. I want to build up a library of e-courses, things that I can offer to people. How I want to do it is like little step by little step, like climb up the mountain step by step. It says here, she was happiest when she painted, but without love, she couldn't manage that. And then it says, I am the painting. And here we've got the peacock. So the peacock to me represents exuberance and, showing off and, being proud of yourself and not being afraid to kind of show your true colours. So this is kind of like, I'm working up here towards this place where I'm really self-assured and I'm really, able to be confidently myself and put myself out there. Obviously, she was happiest when she painted. So it's saying, I need to do more painting this year, which is definitely something I want to do. But it also, I am the painting. So it's like my art is not all about, making something external to myself, but it's like a process that is going to change things within me as well. It says here, the world is full of magical things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper. So and there's this big eye here. So it's also, again, like having my eyes open and seeing the magic and the wonder, staying in a place of love and wonder and awe, and like staying in like a higher sort of reality. There's this kind of reality that I can live in, and I can slip into it very easy, where I live in anxiety and fear. But there's another reality where I'm really connected with like the wonder and the divine and the magic of being alive on this earth. And that's where I want to try and stay. And also the same with these constellations here. It's sort of like, again, part of my spiritual practice, I suppose, like staying in touch with that side of myself. And then lastly, it says, make yourself heard. So I think that goes with the peacock, like use my voice, get my voice out there. I want to do more YouTube videos. I want to connect more with people online. So that's my vision board for 2025 personally, but it kind of also touches on my art practice as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this rather rambly video, but I'm going to try and edit it to make it work a bit better. I'm going to be trying to do more of these kind of like heartfelt conversations with you on YouTube in the next year. So I hope you enjoy that. If you want to stick around, then subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.